I am XemVanAdams, hanging out with your boy Lionel Williams of 3LW TV.
Welcome to 3LW TV. I'm your boy Lionel Williams, hanging out in Hollywood, I guess technically West Hollywood, California today. This brother today that I've got on the show is just off the chain. And a lot of you already know him because you are big fans of his blog and his YouTube videos just like I am. I'm chilled out today with the one and only XemVanAdams of XemVanAdams.com. Zem, you're a very talented man. Take us through a typical day in your life.
Well, my day typically begins. I usually, wake up in the mornings. First thing I tend to do is to check my blog commentary and my YouTube as well. I like to make at least one post in the morning, whether it be related to entertainment, politics, culture, or the gay community specifically. I write for a music company that basically transitions up-and-coming artists and their music to various television shows and films that are being produced here in LA. So I sort of am responsible for writing all of their bios and press kit information. After that, pretty much, once I get home, that's when the real work begins. Because that's when I begin to sort of read all the messages that I receive from young men and women across the country, predominantly gay, black men and women, teenagers, who have seen my videos on YouTube, who have, read my blog and pretty much are either asking me for further advice in regards to, dealing with their sexuality, dealing with their relationships, their interactions with their peers in school, their parents at home.
So what kind of issues do your subscribers, what kind of things are these young kids asking you?
Well, many of them have not come out to their families. Many of my viewers, are still in the closet. They range from ages of 14 to 45 even. A lot of these young men and women also have been in relationships where, they aren't happy. They aren't satisfied, but they don't know sort of how to matriculate out of them. They deal with lots of confusion, and I sort of try to, in so many ways, use my personal life experiences to aid them in making decisions to create a sense of peace within themselves, and a sense of peace within their daily lives.
Conquering the world one word at a time. What does a conquered world look like to XemVanAdams?
To me, a conquered world is a space in which right now I'm allowing my talents and my abilities to pave the way for others that are going to come behind me, but being the one to help provide that opportunity for them. So right now, I'm using my voice for those who don't necessarily have the same level of support that I was blessed to have growing up. Using my voice and the opportunities that God is blessing me with now to basically open a window for those who have similar passions and similar ideas, but don't necessarily know how to bring all of that to fruition. The black community, the gay community, the artistic community, across the board, across race, class, gender, sexuality, those in America who are oftentimes ostracized for being who they are, I want to provide sort of a platform for them to share their artistic grace.
Now you have some pretty strong opinions about love. How did you become such an expert?
I've been in love. I've been in love once. I was in a relationship with a young man for 4 years, between 2001 and 2005. He's the first and only guy I've ever I lived with, shared a bank account with. We went to school together. He was a graphic design major. I was film, so we sort of played off of each other. When I first met him, it was the summer of 2001. It was the first time in my life I had ever spent every single day with an individual. And it's because of our relationship that I even acknowledged my sexuality to my parents, to my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts, my friends, my sister and brother. It's like I've never been in love since then. People say that, I'll know whether it was real love if or when I fall in love again. But it's pretty much, I don't think there's anything that he and I didn't go through. I don't think there's anything that he and I didn't share. There was a point in time where I felt like he would be in my life for the rest of my life. I never even considered the notion of, like, I've been single now, technically it's 2009, so I've been single for 4 years, I never thought that would be. And, being in love with an individual, I believe that individual has the power to make you feel at your highest high. And they have the power to make you feel at your lowest low, And I've been in both places and in between. In the confines of that relationship, I learned so much about myself that I didn't know prior to being in the relationship. I learned what it was to be in love with someone and how to sort of embrace their shortcomings as well as their strengths. And I was able to grow alongside someone. And I've never, to this day, I've never quite experienced, I haven't had the pleasure of experiencing another relationship, but I do. When I look back at my young adult life, I can honestly say that those 4 years were probably 4 of the most significant. At that point in his life, I've always been very comfortable with myself, so I've always been very outgoing and very outspoken and very, and he was very insecure. He's a very attractive and talented young man, but he was very insecure, very possessive, very, not jealous of me, but jealous of the time that I would spend with other people. He wasn't really as comfortable and confident in himself as he is now. He didn't want me to go out, outside of him. And during that period of time, I had already graduated from college. I had gotten my first real car, my first adult job, and I was ready to keep forging forward. He wanted to hold me. And as much as I loved him, I knew that I had to fly, I had to fly. If we were still in love with each other now, or I met him and he met me now, the individual he is now and who I am now, we probably could go a lifetime. But then I think he was in my life, God put him in my life, and mine and his for that particular season.
So how can gay relationships, especially with African American men, how do we get them to last?
I think what's most important is that gay men should learn first to be friends with their lovers. I think that oftentimes we become so the anxiety grows to just be in a relationship. No one wants to really be alone. People are afraid to stand alone. They so desperately want to be in a relationship that they jump into one without knowing their mate, without knowing their boyfriend. And it creates situations where they're learning their mate as they go along, and as they're learning that I can't live with this, I can't accept that, and it makes it more difficult for the relationship to last. If men spent more time learning the raw essence of their partners before jumping into the sanction of the relationship, I think relationships will last longer.